afternoon, everyone. 4 o'clock straight up on a Tuesday edition of On Cue. As always, I'm your host, Rich Quinones. We've got 2 hours to play with. We'll take you up to 6 o'clock straight up. Hope everyone enjoyed their Sports Monday and you're enjoying your 9th of December 2025. Get in on the conversation as always. Very easy to do. You can stay connected with me on social media, on X and IG at Rich Q on Q. SR 1029 FM, the game. Check us out online. Very easy to do. You just go to the homepage. You can click on the Coastal Sports Digital Network Florida link, and that'll get you to Odyssey, or you can download the Odyssey app and search Coastal Sports Digital Network, and you can tune in Monday to Friday, 4 to 6. So, as I mentioned, a lot to get into on this 9th of December, 2025. 2 hours to play with. As always, hashtag on cue. Tweet at me. Get social. Very, very, very easy to do. And I feel like today, I decided that sometimes you have to have a little bit of discretion, right? And you have to kind of be that gentleman, and you have to sometimes show empathy and sympathy, right? Because to me, if you can't show those things, and sometimes people look and you say, you know what, maybe the guy's a little psychotic. So today I was thinking, come on the air and a little charity, a little grace for my Philadelphia Eagles brethren. But then the better part of me, the smart, the astute part of Q got the better of him. Like you had, the good angel on one side, then you got the little devil on the other side. And, the angel was like, hey, you know what? Eagles fans, they're not doing so good. They're in a bad spot right now. They are in a very, very, very bad spot right now because, again, they took a bad L and the quarterback played absolutely horrible football. But then I also decided, because there's such an arrogant friggin' fan base that is so sensitive after they take L's, I decided today we're not even going to talk you off the ledge. I might nudge you a little bit. I might push you a little bit because at the end of the day, what I saw last night was not a franchise quarterback. What I saw last night was a team that is leaking a substantial amount of oil, and it all came to a forefront in a 22-19 overtime loss to a Chargers team that, for all intents and purposes, the Philadelphia Eagles should have beaten. Now, we can gloss over the fact that Philadelphia Eagles, they're a banged up team, so are the Chargers. You want to gloss over the fact that the Philadelphia Eagles decide not to give Saquon Barkley a lot of touches in the second half. Fine. You want to talk about A.J. Brown, who has just turned out to be an absolute friggin' dog. An absolute dog. We can talk about it. The head coach, the offensive coordinator. The defense made plays. Oh, by the way, where have we seen that before? And, of course, the running back bailing out the quarterback. Where we've seen that before. So as I mentioned, again, if you really break this down and you look at it objectively, if you're an Eagles fan, you watched that game last night and you're saying to yourself, what the hell is Jalen Hurts doing? Like, how the hell did this team win a Super Bowl with Jalen Hurts? Jalen Hurts' numbers last night were it was a disaster. I mean, forget about 21 of 40 for 240. Talk about the 4 picks. Talk about the fumble loss. Talk about the interception, then fumble loss on the same friggin' play. It was like watching a comedy of errors. 5 turnovers last night. And then, of course, the pick in overtime, which led to the Chargers winning it. Jalen Hurts had arguably the worst game of his career. He could have spiked the ball every single solitary snap, and he would add a better quarterback rating. And I'm not going to sit here again on a Tuesday after another bad loss by the Philadelphia Eagles, which I told you when they were 5-2, and I had to listen to the arrogant, friggin' clownish Eagles fans come in and tell me they were the defending Super Bowl champs and they're going to get back to the Super Bowl, and they had, waxing poetic about the run they were going to make through the NFC. I told you at 5-2, this team stinks. They're average at best. And now you're starting to really understand and learn. And I've been the biggest Jalen Hurts. I've been too big of a Jalen Hurts supporter at times. But here's a quarterback in Jalen Hurts who does not step up when he needs to. Here's a quarterback in Jalen Hurts that does not elevate his teammates. Here's a quarterback in Jalen Hurts where every single solitary thing has to go perfect for this guy. If it doesn't, he is without a doubt without a doubt, an average quarterback. That's all. He's an average quarterback. That's all that is. And a lot of these Eagles fans, I know you guys think you actually know the sport of football. And I know you want to defend Jalen Hurts, and that's fine. But sometimes you got to take off the glasses because ultimately, at the end of the day, he kind of showed you who you really is and who you really are. Kind of like some of these Birds fans. They refuse to admit they don't like to take these bad losses. And last night was a microcosm of that. His performance last night was the worst of the season. And basically, you gift a little life to the Dallas Cowboys, which we'll get into. But Hurts has to play better. He has to play better football. Now, if you want to sit there and say he's missing reads, he's holding on to the ball too long, he's taking ill-advised sacks, all that is accurate. And if you also want to dive into the play calling, listen, I had a gripe last night. I'm watching this game, and I told you yesterday on the air, Saquon Barkley, 25 touches. I think I said Saquon 25, a buck 19 and a touchdown. What did he finish with? 20-something odd touches, a buck 20 and a touchdown, and he broke off a long one? Like, sometimes you got to keep feeding him. And you can't give him 16 touches in the first half. And then you can't turn around and give him 4 touches in the second half. You just can't do that. So I think, again, when you're looking at this Philadelphia Eagles team, they're just not a very good football team. They're just not. They're really not. They're an average team at best. They're an average team at best, and they basically need everything around the quarterback to be perfect. Now, again, they're the defending Super Bowl champs. I get it. We understand. But they're not going to make a deep run in the playoffs if they continue to play the way they're playing. If they continue to have their quarterback playing the way he is playing. He's not playing at a high level. He's not playing at an MVP type of level. He's not playing like a franchise quarterback. That's just a reality. It's just a reality. The offensive coordinator is not getting a pass. He's not. The head coach is not getting a pass. A.J. Brown shouldn't get a pass. Yes, there were a couple of hospital balls that Jalen Hurts threw last night, but when it hits in your hands, you got to make the catch. And A.J. Brown wasn't running his routes. He just wasn't. He made a couple plays. Okay, that's what A.J. does. He wants his targets. He gets his targets. He wants his reps. Boom. He's happy. He's satisfied. His 7 for 85 and a touchdown, 8 of 90, 10 for 100 yards and a touchdown. He's satisfied. But there were some routes last night where he just gave up. There were some balls that were thrown that hit him in the hands that he didn't catch. Now, it's unfortunate because the quarterback gets tagged with those interceptions. But again, you can the problem today with what happened last night is you've got the Hurts defenders that are going to come out of the woodwork and they're going to place blame all over the place. Then you've got the trolls and the whatnot that really didn't care that the Eagles lost. They were more concerned with the fact that Jalen Hurts played poorly because now they can start talking about what? Benching the quarterback, which I think is still utterly ludicrous. You're not going to do that. They're not going to do that. They are not benching Jalen Hurts. They're not. He's the franchise quarterback. He's not playing well. He has played poorly. And if you really look at it, last season, you take away Saquon's 2,000 yards, this team might be a 500 team. Saquon was the offense. Everything revolved around the offense. It opened everything up in the passing game. So you look at this team right now. Are they a playoff team? Yes. Are they going to win the NFC East? Most likely. Are they going to make a deep run into the playoffs? Not at all. Not at all. It's not happening. They're not built like that. They're really not. All right, let me get to some of these comments as well. Even some of the Eagles fans that are very sensitive today because we see that a lot. And we already know, like, for instance, De Facto is chiming in, the leader of the Bunker Boys, right? What do we got there? Just a minute Q. You revel in the Eagles' losses as much as you like the Giants winning. The Giants don't win a lot, so I really can't say anything, right? Then what do we got here? We got a jellyfish coming from JC, probably, chiming in from mom and dad's basement. Then we got a cackling jellyfish. Whatever. It's probably nice weather wherever you are. Go out, hit some T-balls. What do we got here? I got receipts of saying to bench Hurts after the second pick. From who? From who? You're not benching Jalen Hurts. They're not going to do that. I listened to post game last night, and they insinuated, they had the conversation, they had the discussion. The quarterback needs to play better. But in what world do you really believe Nick Sirianni is going to do that after you're talking about a Super Bowl MVP that outplayed Patrick Mahomes? But this has the makings of 2023 all over again. It really does. 10-1 start. You had that losing streak to close out the season. Then you go on the road and you get blasted by Tampa Bay. That was a bad loss by the Philadelphia Eagles. And it's been a bad couple weeks for the Philadelphia Eagles. And when they were 5-2, again, we had the conversation about their offense. And all you guys basically said was, I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Their offense stinks, and their defense has to bail them out. Their defense was all over Justin Herbert last night. They were making plays left and right. The Chargers gave the Philadelphia Eagles, I don't know, 4 or 5 chances to win that game. And let me also be fair here. That one ball that Hurts threw to A.J. Brown, basically in the corner of the end zone, that was a gorgeous pass. A.J. Brown has to catch that football. Now, we might not be having the conversation to the full extent that we are today, but still, A.J. Brown needs to shut up and make plays and catch the football. But the quarterback needs to play better. And he's starting to give you this look and feel like it was almost like smoke and mirrors. Like it was smoke and mirrors at the end of the day. Because we were talking about Jalen Hurts potentially being the MVP of the league a couple seasons ago. And then everything went south once again. Tom and Summers Point chiming in Q. I'm not going to defend Hurts, but I'm also going to say a lot of those balls were dropped last night. But to your point, I agree. He's not playing like a franchise quarterback. Joe D in South Philly chimes in Q, Q, Q. I know you're absolutely relishing killing the birds today, but I'm going to say this. When do we start ripping the offensive coordinator and the head coach? How many touches did Barkley get in the second half? I said it's open to interpretation. It is. It's open to interpretation. The Eagles right now have a quarterback problem. They have a quarterback problem, and I can't help you if you can't see that. And I'm not suggesting you bench Jalen Hurts, but there is a problem at the position of the quarterback. Anyone can see it. He's just not playing good football. He's not making good decisions. He's not seeing the field. How many times do you sit there and you listen to Troy Aikman talk about Hurts not seeing the field, or Collingsworth saying Hurts not seeing the field, or not going through his progressions? Jesus God, man, you're in the league 6 years now. You don't know how to read friggin' defenses? Then get the hell off the field. Then get off the field. But it also comes down to the play calling, and it also comes down to the head coach. You can't allow Saquon Barkley, when you start revving him up and he starts ripping off chunk plays and hitting the second line of defense and just running through guys to the tune of what? 15 touches for 55 something odd yards and a touchdown. Then you don't give him the ball, knowing your quarterback's struggling in the second half, knowing your defense is carrying you. I mean, that's malpractice by the head coach. So yeah, Nick Sirianni doesn't get a pass here, nor should he. Man says, whoa, this JC guy fired. I don't know what to tell you. Listen, unfortunately, there are a lot of sensitive Susies out there. I mean, it happens. And, a lot of times there's a sentiment of the fan base. They got to live vicariously through the team. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, I'm just, I got Kevin chiming in, Sarge getting ready to chime in, Mark and Wallingford, right? Monday Marcus on a Tuesday chiming in as well. I don't know what to tell you. What other average quarterback can throw 3 picks and not get benched? You're missing the point. You're missing the point. You have to look, okay, let's go body of work. Are we going to gloss over the fact that still, and I'm not suggesting just because Jalen Hurts won a Super Bowl, just because Jalen Hurts won a Super Bowl and he was MVP of the Super Bowl, that means you can't bench him. But this team is also right there, playoff spot. They're going to win the NFC East. The Cowboys are not catching them. Let's be honest. That loss to the Detroit Lions on Thursday night was a crippling loss. So the Eagles are still in a good spot. They just need to fix the offense and they need to figure out what the hell's going on with the quarterback. And that means if you need to rely on Saquon because you really haven't run him into the ground the first 13, 14 weeks, if you got to run him into the ground weeks 15, 16, 17, and come playoff time, then you do it. That's why you pay him. That's why you pay him all that money. You're paying Saquon for what you thought he was going to do last year, what you believe he can do this season, and he hasn't been able to do it. But when he gets his touches, last night he had 20 carries for a buck 22. So he's averaging almost 7, 8 yards a carry. I'm sorry, he's averaging 5, 6 yards a carry, right? And you're not going to give him the football in the second half when you know your quarterback is struggling, when you know your quarterback is not seeing the field, when your quarterback is throwing pick after pick after pick. That's on coaching. That's on play calling. That's not on Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts needs to control what Jalen Hurts can control. That's reading defenses. That's understanding to live to fight another down, throwing the ball away, to not try to, throw it in a tight window. That pass in overtime, he had no business throwing the football. It's like going back a couple years ago. Let me force feed it on the road late in Seattle and just chuck it up for grabs. A 5, 6, 7 year pro should not be doing that. So we're not, listen, you're 13, 14 weeks in the NFL season. They're not going to bench him. They're not. Because if you bench him, let's just play it out for a second. Let's say they lose to the Raiders and Geno Smith has his good Geno Smith game, right? Which is, ridiculous stats as opposed to bad Geno. 20 of 28, 365, 3 touchdowns, and the Raiders figure out a way to win a game on the road against the Eagles, and Hurts struggles again. You've got a bad Washington team 2 out of the last 3 weeks of the season. Plus, you got to go up the road and you have to play Buffalo in bad weather, right? I'm not going to stick that kid in that situation. Now, Washington maybe is a different argument, but I just don't see it. If you bench Hurts, what's the point of doing it right now? You're going to bench him for the rest of the season, and then he's going to, just magically appear to be the Jalen Hurts in the Super Bowl last year come playoff time? You open up Pandora's box. You open up a quarterback controversy, especially if the backup's playing well. Because what do we say? You got to stick with the hot hand. Like you shouldn't lose your job if you're injured. Hence the situation with Mac Jones and Purdy. Now, I would have stuck with Mac Jones. Purdy comes back. Purdy had an injury. Jalen Hurts is not injured. He's not. So you're opening up such a Pandora's box that I just would not do that. I just don't see it. Mark and Wallingford chimes in. Q, you got to be out of your mind. There's absolutely no way you're benching a Super Bowl winning MVP. You just said it yourself. He's the franchise quarterback. He had one friggin' bad game. Lay off. He didn't have one friggin' bad game, Mark. He's had multiple bad games this season. He's had multiple bad games. He's not elevating the talent around him. He's not. He just isn't. Look, Patrick Mahomes is having a down year. Kansas City stinks. The Eagles stink right now. Daniel Jones is out for the Colts. Lamar Jackson's banged up. Baltimore's not a good football team. The Lions are somewhat of an enigma. Again, we talked about it yesterday. It's like if the Bills don't win it this year, it's like when? You've got a perfect opportunity. Things are open up. I can't say that about the Philadelphia Eagles. I can't. They haven't done anything to support anyone's theory or suggest that they're going to turn it around. They haven't. D chimes in, I'm so friggin' mad we lost to Detroit. Speaking of the Cowboys, because he's a Cowboys fan. Sarge chimes in, Q, I don't think you're being overly critical. I actually think you're being fair, but I'll say this. He's getting paid a lot of money. Let's play it out with Jalen Hurts. As you mentioned, he did win a Super Bowl MVP and could have won 2. Listen, that's clown talk saying bench him. That's utterly ridiculous. I don't know what other talking heads are saying, and I can care less. You're not benching Jalen Hurts. You're not. If you do that and it backfires and the season goes south and you get bounced in the first game of the playoffs, then what's going to be the next conversation, the subsequent conversation to follow? Well, now the head coach has to go. Now the head coach has to go. No, we figured out Revelations NC. Yeah, there we go. You chime in. That's what the bunkers do, right? You chime in. Hey, peace out. Get back to work. Hey, just be careful. Don't throw any, monkey wrenches out there. Appreciate the contribution to today's show. Stop bringing up old shit, Q. Hertz has had 2 horrible games. Hertz needs a wake up call. What am I bringing up? And what are we doing, Luca Brazzi? Come on now. You know better than that with that kind of that kind of nastiness on the comment. What are we doing? What are we doing right now? What are we doing? I mean, Luca Brazzi, coming with me like that. That's utterly ridiculous. Yeah, you guys need to go back to the bunker. Serious. You guys definitely need. You're saying I'm bringing up old stuff. What are we going to gloss over the fact that they did win the Super Bowl last year and he was Super Bowl MVP? If you want to talk to me about a what have you done for me lately, if I were to come on the air and say, I don't care that he won a Super Bowl last year, was the MVP, you guys would be destroying me. You would be destroying me. And again, we're talking about Jalen Hurts. We'll say the same thing about any other quarterback that's having a down season, a down year. And there's plenty of them having down seasons and down years. That's what makes what I'm watching so perplexing. You've got a great offensive line. Granted, it's a little banged up. You got a good tight end. You have an all-pro wide receiver. You have a stud wide receiver to complement him. And you got an all-pro running back. And your offense is this bad? Like, what are we missing? Where's the disconnect? Explain it to me like I'm a child. Explain it to me like I'm 7 years old. What are we missing here? What's the common factor? The quarterback is not playing good football. And if he continues to struggle like this team is going to be one and done. And if they continue to have these types of offensive games or lack thereof, then yeah, you can keep questioning going into the offseason then. Go ahead. You can keep questioning the offseason. So when you're winning, and this is what happens, everyone's your best friend. Everyone loves you. Everyone loves you. But again, you're starting to see the frauds come out. Like Saquon. Saquon's the biggest friggin' fraud. This guy he wins the Super Bowl with the Eagles. He can't let it go. He's got to come out with the doc, right? On the day you play the Giants, dance on the grave, and here you go. And then you friggin' lose, and you can't really plug it because guess what? All you're talking about is Dart and Scatterbill. Like, he's a fraud, but he still should get more touches in the second half. A.J. Brown is a dog. A.J. Brown's all about A.J. Brown. You can't win with a player like that. Yeah, okay, fine. But going forward, you don't want that kind of player on your team. A.J. Brown is more satisfied that he gets his 8 touches, his 8 receptions, 9 receptions, 100 yards and a touchdown than getting the win. That's who he is. That's who he is. He's happy because he got his stats. He got his numbers. He's not pissed off because they lost the game. He's not pissed off because he's not running routes. He's not pissed off because the ball hit him right in the friggin' hands and he's got to make that play. He doesn't care. He does not care. Would not be destroying you, Q. Some of the players who throw football say McKee is better passer. Listen, then why did they give Jalen Hurts the contract extension? Like, seriously, then fine. By your rationale, what are they waiting for? Go ahead. What are they waiting for? I'm sure there's some backups in the league that can throw a football, that can spin it. But you're going to stick this kid in. Can he play in a high-pressure situation? Can he play in the fourth quarter? Down 6, 2 minutes ago, 1 timeout, 80 yards ago? Can you put him in a playoff game? Can you put him in the Super Bowl? Hurts has done all that. Hurts has done all that. And like I said, I don't want to feel like I'm wavering or I'm flip-flopping or I'm trying to hedge my bet here. He has to play better. He has to play better. He has not played well. He hasn't. And these losses, yeah, they're crippling losses. These losses fall on the feet of Jalen Hurts at times because usually when the team loses and the offense struggles, the quarterback takes the blame. That's the friggin' nature of the position. That's why the quarterbacks make all the money in the NFL. They do all the commercials, the shaving ads, the Coke ads, Pepsi, the car, the Subways. They do all that. They get all the endorsements. So guess what? With the good comes the bad. So right away, a little adversity and let's bench them. I mean, come on, man. Seriously. Freaking grow up. Grow up. Seriously. Like you're just you got very short-term memory. Short-term memory. And again, I don't want to sound like I'm hedging. The bottom line is he has not played well. He has not played well, but you guys want to forget he threw for 2 touchdowns and ran for another and set a Super Bowl record for most rushing yards by a quarterback in a single game. Oh, by the way, the Eagles 40-22 over the Chiefs. Now, let's forget that. Now, if you want to talk about the season as a whole because of the legs of Saquon, that's fine. Come on, stop kidding yourselves. You know the quarterback hasn't played well. You know a lot of stuff has to go right for him to be that pure pocket passer, which at times he's not. He'll scramble, he'll run around, he'll try to improvise. The situation has to be solid for him. No one's suggesting otherwise. No one is. No one is suggesting otherwise. But to sit here now to start having the conversation, and look, the defenders can be quiet. That's fine. But to now have the conversation to bench him right now, what good does that what does that serve the purpose if you were to bench Jalen Hurts right now? I'm being very honest. I'm being very honest here. So give me an honest answer back. Is the season in peril? Are you not going to win the NFC East? Are you not going to make the playoffs? Are you that right now uncomfortable or just worried with the fact that this is really going to get out of hand and they're going to lose to the Raiders, the Commanders twice, and the Bills, and all of a sudden that 8-2 start they finish the season 8-9? If that's the case, the head coach goes. I mean, I don't think, others will say this is a precarious position. If you look at the NFC East, it's not. Because at the end of the day, can you really trust the Dallas Cowboys? The Dallas Cowboys will show you who they really are. Yes, they're 6-6-1. Right now, the Philadelphia Eagles are 8-5. And the Philadelphia Eagles are 2-2 in their division, and the Cowboys are 3-1, and they've already split. But I don't have the utmost confidence that all of a sudden the Cowboys are going to go on a run. The Cowboys can turn around and spit the bit against the Vikings. They can lose to the Chargers. The Giants can play spoiler. Or if they're in tank mode, then maybe they don't. Or Washington plays spoiler. Look, the Eagles just need to win football games. But if you're going to suggest right now the only way they're going to win football games is to bench the quarterback, it is more than a little adversity. He keeps saying he hasn't played well. Hurts is not the same quarterback as last year. He's been figured out. What if McKee wins out? What if he does? What if he does? So these are all hypotheticals. Look, there's adversity. It happens. There is adversity. But I want to go over a couple things with you. You're talking about a quarterback that signed a 5-year, $255 million contract extension in April 2023. And now, after winning a Super Bowl MVP, he's had a couple bad games where you guys were destroying me earlier in the season saying, stop talking about the offense. The offense was going to be okay. And what did I say? Check the receipts now. What was I saying? What was I saying? The offense is broken. They're trending down. But we didn't want to talk about that. I just don't think it's to the point where you're going to make a rash decision and bench him. Because what if A.J. Brown catches the football last night in the back of the end zone and that's the game clinching touchdown and they win? Then we're going to sit there and say Hurts didn't play well, but man, when you needed him to step up, he made the play. Now that's another argument. You watched that game last night. Herbert banged up. Gimpy running around, knocked on his ass, got sacked 7-8 times, probably hit another 10 times. Injury with his hand. He was still making plays. He was still, running the football, scrambling, trying to lift up his teammates. And what was the difference last night was also what? The Chargers were able to run the football. They ran it for $170. Herbert had 66 yards, pardon me, on his own. He was extending plays, making plays. The Chargers aren't a very good team. Their offensive line was in shambles. The Eagles, as a whole, had every opportunity to win that football game last night. They didn't. And their quarterback had 5 turnovers. It's unacceptable. It's unacceptable. But I'm not going to come out on a Tuesday and do what every other probably clown ass talking head is doing right now and overreact and say bench Jalen Hurts. I'm not going to say that. What I'm saying is there you're starting to see who he really is. You go back, you got that Super Bowl. You got that Super Bowl. And then you turn around and you give a lot of money to the quarterback and he rewards you by going out and winning a Super Bowl and being a Super Bowl MVP. But for those that have defended him for years, let's again be fully transparent. If you take the ground game away last year in the offensive line, it's not perfect for Jalen Hurts. And he struggles. And you're seeing it this year because they're not running the football. So now, all of a sudden, what happens? Jalen Hurts looks like an average quarterback. Now, are you going to sit there and tell me that a kid off the bench is going to be better than Jalen Hurts? If you want to go with that, so be it. But if you bench a franchise quarterback who is not even a year removed from winning the Super Bowl and garnering MVP, you are opening up a can of worms. And if Nick Sirianni ever considered doing that and it fails, he will be out of a job. He will be out of a job. All right. 25 past the 4 o'clock hour, cruising on. We'll take you up to 6 o'clock straight up. A lot of comments coming in. We'll roll through them again on the other side. Keep it locked in. By the way, we also now are live on Coastal Sports Digital Network. You can check out the Odyssey app and search Coastal Sports Digital Network. You got me Monday to Friday, 4 to 6 live. Don't forget to get social with me as well. What do we got there? Mike chimes in from Ohio. My goodness, Q, you really ruffled some feathers with some of these Eagles fans. What are they, kids? Yeah, I mean, some of them are. I don't know what to say. I mean, that's just a fact. There's probably got to be an age limit, right? You have to have. I guess if you're going to chime in and comment on the show, you got to have a little better, than the mental capacity of say like a 7 or 8 year old. That's all. But hey, we don't mind people chiming in. We don't mind that. Hey, don't forget get social with me as well at Rich Q and Q X and of course IG TikTok Rich Q and Mike. We're powered by our good friends over at Fresh Roasted Coffee and also 20% off BYP20. That's the promo code. Get ready with tea and Three Brooks Bourbon. All right, quick timeout. We'll come back on the other side. All right, 4:34 on a Tuesday. We'll take up to 6, as I mentioned. Got some more comments coming in as well. You guys chiming in. Always appreciate that. Monday Marcus chiming back. Q, I don't think it's really a question of how bad Hurts has been playing, but you also have to talk a little bit about the head coach and the offensive coordinator. You mentioned it, all these weapons, and yet the offense can't get going. It's been an issue. The Chargers are not a very good football team. They're not. I mean, they're not. I mean, Harbaugh. That's another thing. You're talking about the analytics last night, and how many times did Harbaugh play that game to not lose? Harbaugh he was coaching that game to not lose as opposed to try to win the football game. And all you kept hearing is Aikman saying, well, the analytics, the analytics, the analytics, the analytics, the analytics, the analytics. And yeah, I'm not buying it. So crazy, by the way, crazy day in the NFL. Phillip Rivers coming out of retirement, coming off the sofa with the Colts. That's crazy. We'll get into that. We got some new power rankings. We got to start looking ahead to week 15 already. But as I mentioned, yeah, again, we can sit there and talk about the quarterback ad nauseum. We can. I don't have a problem talking about Jalen Hurts. We can talk about Jalen Hurts all day. But the bottom line is that if those that are chiming in right now, if we take like a straw poll, and those are talking about benching the quarterback, you are opening up a can of worms. You are. And it's funny because I text my buddy and I said, well, what happens if he struggles and they're one and done? Do you think they look to move him next year? And then we were talking about the contract here and there. Quarterback position, it's everything in the NFL. It's everything. If you don't have it figured out, and there's only a handful of teams right now in the NFL that have it figured out. If you don't, you're in trouble. You're absolutely in trouble. Let me see what we got there. Went through Kevin C. chiming in North Jersey. Q, don't want to talk about the Giants, but thank God they never made a play for A.J. Brown. You're right. This guy's absolute dog. Yeah, A.J. Brown's got to take a little bit of a hit today, too. He does. A.J. Brown has to take a little bit of a hit. Because, you got to bail your quarterback out at times. And he hasn't been able to do that. I mean, that ball is right in his mitts. And he drops it. I mean, that falls on who? The quarterback or the wide receiver? That's on the wide receiver. That's just the bottom line. You got to catch the football, period. Right? I wonder what Angel is thinking right now. I don't know. I think when I spoke to Angel, I think he actually thought I tweeted bench Saquon, but then I had to help him. I had to work him through it. Angel doesn't get. See, here's the thing. I think Angel's an Eagles fan, but he's not like that prick clown Eagles fan that typically will chime in during the show, right? He's not like that guy or those guys. You know the ones that we're talking about, right? Got to live through the team. Got to live through, your buddies. Got to live through the kids. He's not like that. He just, he watches games. He just enjoys the games. He is a nervous Eagles fan. He is definitely a nervous Eagles fan. He definitely is. But I don't think he really gets bent out of shape whether they win or lose, to be honest. He also wanted Jalen Hurts benched after. What was it? Remember the game he didn't fly out to Seattle? He wanted him benched. He didn't want him to play. No matter how good things are going. Yeah, he's a good guy. He's a good fella. Yeah. I told him chime in today. I said chime in, right? Now that we're on the Odyssey app, chime in. Why not? Let's hear what you have to say. And I'm curious too, because, it's funny when Angel chimes in because he gets the players mixed up too, right? Kenny Pickens, Carl Pickett. D chimes in again. Q, you don't think there's any shot that the Cowboys can overtake the Eagles? I don't. Do we want to sit there and start saying the get right game for the Philadelphia Eagles against the Raiders? Is that where we want to go? The get right game at home. I mean, just imagine for a moment the first couple possessions, the Eagles go 3 and out. The offense struggles a little bit. The boo birds start to come out. Oh, I mean, that now you're getting is such a dicey situation. You really are. I mean, listen, I'll sit there and laugh. It'll be comical because, you're going to watch a potential implosion. But, man, if they're 11, 12-point dogs, which I think they will be, against a bad Raiders team and they don't win that football game, it's going to be beyond panic mode in Philadelphia. Colt 6 chimes in Q. I know you were talking about Daniel Jones the other day. We both feel bad for him, but oh my God, are you kidding me? Phillip Rivers, what the F? There's not another younger quarterback in the NFL we could have signed. Colts got issues. Yeah, that's a little bizarre, the Phillip Rivers situation. Just got a text from Angel. I think he's going to chime in. Did I say Slim Pickens or Carl Pickens? Rivers, which by the way is a semi. I'm sorry, Angel. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I mean, what was it? Was it Carl Pickens or Slim Pickens? Rivers is a semifinalist for the Pro Football Hall of Fame, class of 2026. So he's signing with the Colts practice squad, which is going to have no effect on his eligibility. But if he signs to the active roster, then I was just reading this before I came in on the air. His eligibility clock resets. So whether or not he takes a snap in a game, he's not going to be eligible again until 2031. How desperate are the Colts? You mean to tell me you can't get another quarterback on a roster in the NFL that could be a serviceable option? Is a must-win time for the Eagles. Well, how are you defining it? How are you defining it? Are you saying it's must-win? So the Jalen Hurts, potential benching, saving the season conversation goes away? The Eagles need to win a friggin' football game, period. But the problem stems deeper from that. You can't, now all of a sudden, the defense that was very inconsistent is starting to play really good football. Now, they were able to take advantage of a bad line last night, and that's one of the reasons they sacked Herbert 7 times. But you love to see the defense make plays. Now, the offense as a whole has to pick it up. So you're 8-5 right now. I mean, it's panic time in this regard. If they continue to play like this offensively, they're not going to make a deep run in the playoffs. If the quarterback continues to play this poorly, they're going to be one and done. So basically, any idea, any chance, any dream, every thought that you guys had of defending and going back to the Super Bowl winning again, it's not happening. And I don't know, maybe they luck out. Maybe they turn around and they get a game against Tampa Bay and they have to go on the road and get a little revenge against a bad Tampa Bay team that's banged up. I don't know. But right now they sit locked in the third seed. Tampa's in the fourth. Seattle's in the fifth. 49ers are in the sixth. The Bears, because of that loss, they go from 3 to 7. Now they're sitting in the seventh seed. So I'm not going to sit here and deem it a must win. I think Sunday is a big game for Jalen Hurts. I think Sunday Jalen Hurts has to have a big game to just quiet the crowd, silence the critics and the outside noise for at least 1 week. And they got to win the football game. You can't lose to the Raiders. You can't. You just can't. You can't have this start to spiral out of control. Look, you're not the Colts. You didn't lose your franchise quarterback. Well, I should say your veteran quarterback that was playing like he could be a franchise quarterback in Daniel Jones. They're expected to lose out, even with Phillip Rivers. They're expected to lose out because Daniel Jones was playing really good football this year. He had a resurgent year. He was early on in the MVP conversation, comeback player of the year. They still have Taylor, but they need their quarterback. They don't have their leader. So that's due to an injury. But you can't have a franchise quarterback that you just gave a 5-year deal, $250 million, struggle like this. And that's what Hurts is doing. So I'm not going to deem it a must win, but you can't lose to the Raiders. I mean, what does that say? Pickens, Kenny Pickett. Absolutely. Yeah, Gabriel's mom. We don't play those spots anymore. I don't know what, Walking Tall. Interesting you mentioned that, man. He is, what was the show? He's in Tulsa King. Did you know that? He's in Tulsa King. Are we going back? I thought we were going to do the jokes, back in 2026. We'll get to the jokes, more comments as well. All right, 4:45, quick timeout. We'll come back on the other side. All right, don't forget we're powered by our good friends over at Fresh Roasted Coffee, 445 on the East Coast. We're also on the Odyssey app. You can just search Coastal Sports Digital Network. Get social with me, very easy to do on X and IG at Rich Q on Q. TikTok, Rich Q on the mic. Subscribe to the YouTube channel as well. Joe chimes in from Northfield. Q, looks like you riled up a lot of Eagles fans. Not sure why the trolls were coming out of the woodwork today, but it looks like you really got under their skin. Yeah, well, we have a habit of doing that at times because people don't like to hear the truth. That's all. Frankie Boy chimes in. Q, how about my boy Schwarber Bomb back with the Philadelphia Phillies? What's your thoughts on that? Yeah, I mean, listen, what was it? 5 years, a buck 50 for Schwarber, right? And I saw the Dodgers just keep loading up, right? They just keep loading up. They just inked Diaz from the Mets. Unbelievable. The Dodgers are going to just they're winning again. But Schwarber, 5 years, a buck 50. I'll mix in a little baseball later in the week. He had a great year. I mean, production wise, he was right there. He was clutch. You look at his stats, you look at his numbers, you look at where he finished MVP. I mean, he gave you everything, right? I mean, obviously you're not winning it. It's Otani's award going forward in the NL. But Schwarber had a fantastic season and he cashed in. And I think, and they also extended Thompson too. I think the Philadelphia Phillies needed to do this. They needed to do this because when you hit free agency and you start to have a team like the Mets or Boston or Baltimore start to come in, they want to swoop in, especially the Mets, because they were thinking of a plan B for Alonso. You did not want to lose Schwarber to the Mets in the NL East. Even Pittsburgh offering them some big money, right? Cincinnati made that late push, but he decided, I'm going to stick to where I'm comfortable and I'm going to re-sign with the Phillies. And he cashed in, and good for him. He's a good dude. He's a good guy. And listen, he's been that model of slugging consistency. I mean, every time he's up to the plate, you just have a feeling if you're a Phillies fan, he's swinging for the fences. He's gonna drive it out of the park. But good for him. He cashed in, rightfully so. Man. All right, man. Let's pull it out. Go ahead. What do we got there? 448. Go ahead. Follow off. Stripper and solar power calculator. Go ahead. I'll wait for you to come up with the answer on that one. Let me get to some more of these comments. Robert chimes in. Q, when you look at the NFC right now, after Sunday's win over the Bears, are you more high on the Packers or are you still on Jordan Love? That was a big win for the Packers over the Bears. It was a big win. Jordan Love played really good football, and I give the Bears a lot of credit. Now, the Packers get tested again. The Packers have to go on the road, 425, CBS window, lay in 2.5 on the road, mind you, against the Denver Broncos. How about this weekend slate of games? How about some of these games? Green Bay against Denver, the Lions against the Rams, the Colts against Seattle. Even that Dolphins and Steelers game has playoff implications because the Dolphins are playing some winning football late. So now we're in crunch time in the NFL. Absolute crunch time. And we're going to start to separate the boys from the men. Playoffs right around the corner. Let me see here. Nick and Y for chimes in Q. You mentioned it. I'm just going to throw it out there. If they have a total collapse, meaning the Eagles, and they miss out on the playoffs and Dallas wins the division, does Sirianni get fired? Man, you guys are really, it's 3 losses in a row. It's 3 losses in a row. I feel as though there's just this. He had the late performances in 2024 that led into 2025, right? But again, Howie Roseman, Jeffrey Lurie, they came out and they defended him, and then he hung in there and he rewarded them by winning a Super Bowl. And I don't know what's more absurd or what's more unlikely to happen. Jalen Hurts gets benched or this goes south and they fire Nick Sirianni. I mean, someone threw at me, Sal's a Ravens fan, and said, well, the Ravens won a Super Bowl and fired Brian. Like, yeah, but they did that 6 years after he won the Super Bowl. I'm not talking about a year after because you have a down year. If that's the case, Andy Reid got blown out in the Super Bowl. Why does he still have a head coaching job? Like, he's built up a body of work. He's a Hall of Fame head coach. You're not going to fire him. Nick Sirianni, the verdict's still out on Sirianni. I don't think he's a very good head coach. I don't think he knows how to do adjustments. I think he's more of a cheerleader, and they just like playing for him. I don't believe Nick Sirianni, at the end of the day, there's going to be a bust for Sirianni, but you got to stop the bleeding. You have to. You have to stop the bleeding if you're Nick Sirianni. I mean, look at this. My goodness. I mean, the incredible Shrinker Hermano decides to chime in on a Tuesday edition of On Cue, which, oh, by the way, if you download the Odyssey app, search Coastal Sports Digital Network, or check out SR 1029 FM The Game. You know, I was being pelted because I said Slim Pickens, but everyone was defending you. What's going on, Angel?
I'm on my way back from the airport, and I'm listening on the comments about the Slim Pickens. Listen, whatever. Yeah, just like Aaron Rodgers used to play with the Chicago Bears. Enough with you folks. I make mistakes every once in a while. Doesn't matter.
Well, hold on a second. We want to know, though, you know, I said I don't want to speak out of turn when I said Angel's kind of a little more of a low-key Eagles fan. Like I mentioned, some of the commenters, some of the trolls coming out today, a lot of friggin' clowns. I mean, they're living vicariously through everyone, living vicariously through the Eagles, you know, maybe through one of their buddies they're working with. I don't know, maybe through their kids. Who the hell knows, man? They were getting on me today talking about this Jalen Hurts kind of stuff, right? Man, James and Angel, pleasure to see you. So you watched that game last night, and you know Hurts played poorly.
Yeah.
For some reason, a lot of guys are chiming in saying right now, Jalen Hurts got to be benched. What say you?
Nah, he can't be benched. There's no way you can. You are, and I heard a comment you mentioned earlier. You would be absolutely right that if they do decide to bench him, it would send the worst message in the NFL. Exclude just the Eagles, because then you're saying that a quarterback that was just separated from the Super Bowl. Yeah, everybody has their ups and downs. Christ, we know what happened in 2018 after 2017. You win the first one, and the sky falls. Everything just goes to crap.
Right.
And so this time around, it's not as bad, but unfortunately, it's getting to be there. And last week I said I blamed it on Batullo, because to me, the play calling came down from him. And according to Nick Sirianni, he said, no, it's not him, it's me, blah, blah, blah. Jeffrey Lurie was supposed to have a conversation with Nick Sirianni. Nick, in return, told Jeffrey Lurie, listen, don't worry about. I talk about planting seeds and flower pots, and
that was his beginning press conference. Was I hammered him for? Yes, correct.
Yeah. So the whole thing is that this falls squarely on Nick Sirianni's shoulder. Period. It does.
So you're not. Well, hold on a second. But Jalen Hurts has to play better. Yes.
He does have to play better. But they also, if you guys remember too, Jason Kelsey said it best that Jalen does not know how to read a line, whether it's an O line, whether it's a D line. He definitely doesn't know how to read a defensive line. And if that's the case, you got to learn how to see that field. And of course, it's always easy for us because we're getting the overhead shot view and all that good fun stuff. But you can't see. At one point, you have AJ Brown, and the same thing. He's got to learn how to catch the ball a little better. If you're going to cry and say you want the ball more, you 100%. Also have to learn how to become a better wide receiver.
100%. Like, I don't want to hear AJ Brown anymore. AJ Brown is all about who? AJ Brown.
Right.
And that's what makes it very frustrating. And we know diva wide receivers, and the old adage was you're never going to win with a diva wide receiver. Well, they won it last year, but they've got too many weapons on this team on the offensive side of the football to play this poorly. You've got wide receivers, you've got a tight end, you got Saquon Barkley, you have an offensive line. Now, when you, as an Eagles fan, you start to now look at Jalen Hurts, and I've had this argument now for the last several hours with some Eagles fans. Was it lightning in a bottle last year? Like Saquon rushed it for 2,000 yards. Everything was just perfectly placed for Jalen Hurts. Or are we really starting to realize and see that Jalen Hurts is just an average quarterback that has to have everything be perfect around him to be successful?
Yeah. He is an average quarterback, and everybody pulled that out last year. The same thing too, and he ended up doing exceptionally well, because even last year, I was frustrated in the first 4 games because you would see the Eagles doing that whole teeter-totter effect again. We win, we lose, we win, we lose, and then you want to start trying to point fingers without pointing fingers. And so this year, you start out well, and then we start reverting back to the beginning of last year. You also have Jake Elliott, who missed a field goal. Let's not forget
That's
about
right.
that one either. It basically a chip shot for him. You can't blame the wind or anything else. You're in a dome. So you can't blame anything whatsoever to say, well, it was cold outside. I got frostbite on my toes. None of that stuff. So that's the problem.
Special teams has been an issue. Yeah, special
It
teams
has
has been.
been. So there's
Yeah.
just a lot and it happens obviously when good teams win, especially when they win a Super Bowl. Detroit obviously figured that one out as well. When you lose good coaches, you have to replace them with better coaches than what you had. And I know this is where I'll use Kenny Pickens as Slim Pickens as far as coaches that are out there, unfortunately. And that's where the Eagles failed because I don't know why. Nick Sirianni was just set on Kevin Batul. There was nothing else. Rich is out there. We also have, let's see, Joe's out there. Who else is out there? No, I want to go with Kevin. Why Kevin? I don't know. He just seems like a good fit. So now
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
pick Kevin as part of your OC, and at the same time, you still want to control him. How he built he's done wonders once again for the 6th year in a row with this team. And somehow or another, you figured out, nope, I'm just going to keep blaming me. And then during the press conferences, I'm just going to keep playing spin the bottle until unfortunately it sticks back to me.
Well, he decides that he's going to hire his buddy. They don't go outside the building. That's number one, right? So let me get to this comment because Luca brought. I don't just. These are this. I'm telling you right now. This is why I'm getting really friggin' annoyed because this is the same friggin' fan base that got on me last year saying I was overly critical of Jalen Hurts. Now the friggin' kid goes out and they win a Super Bowl and needs the MVP. Let's bench him. The
Right.
ghost of Luca Brasi, by the way, great handle.
It is.
AJ Brown is by the way, and also de facto bunker boy. So we know about these rats. AJ Brown is a top 5 wide receiver. Jalen is a bottom 22 quarterback who can't read a defense, but let's keep playing him, hoping it gets better. Am I the crazy person? Now, hold on. Let me address this for a minute. When they gave Jalen Hurts the contract extension and we were debating, is he worth it? The argument was, well, you're paying him for what you believe he might do, not for what he's already done. So again, what does he do? They go out last year, and again, whether Saquon 2,000 yards, the offensive line, he outplayed Patrick Mahomes on the biggest stage in the Super Bowl. And he had the FU throw late to Smith to shut everyone up. He
Mhm.
won the MVP. But you guys want to forget about that less than a year later. And now all of a sudden he can't read defenses. But last year in the playoffs and the Super Bowl, he can read defenses. When they were 10-1, he can read defenses. Now he can't read defenses, and you want to go to the backup. So again, I'm going to ask you, who really is the crazy one? I mean, think about this. And oh, by the way, he was an MVP runner up, and they made the Super Bowl a couple years ago, too. So
Right.
it's like, just if you want to say he's average and things have to break for him, I'm fine with that. If you want to say, well, he can be really good sometimes, but frustrating, I'm fine with that. But to suggest all of a sudden he didn't win a Super Bowl, he didn't outperform Patrick Mahomes, I mean, to get it off his resume, you can't unring the bell. So you freaking guys want to turn around and bench him because he's played poorly for a backup who you have no idea at the end of the day how good or how good he isn't. Why? Because he looks good in shorts and he can spin the friggin' football during practice in the offseason or the regular season he gets reps? I mean, come on. What are we doing? Like, seriously. This is not like with the Giants and Jackson Dart. You had 2 friggin' bridge quarterbacks in Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston. You should have started Jameis Winston. But really, if you think about it, Brian Daboll was such a jackass of a head coach, you really could have started Jackson Dart to begin the season. So
Right.
you eliminate your bridge quarterback and you have a rookie quarterback. The hell with the fact that Russell Wilson won a Super Bowl a couple years ago. He's not that guy anymore. And Jameis Winston is a bridge quarterback. This is not that situation. You're talking about a team that went to the Super Bowl 2 out of the last 3 years, and the kid wins the MVP last year. Now, again, you can talk about the offensive line, Saquon Barkley, everything being perfect for him. I get it. I am not disputing any of that. If you want to say he's a fraud, he's been exposed, he's an average quarterback, he can be very good at times, I'm all for it. But what purpose does it serve right now if Sirianni says tomorrow to bench Jalen Hurts and start this kid? What purpose does it serve? And no, de facto, you did come at me criticizing Jalen Hurts, and you threw in my face about Daniel Jones at the time being the Giants quarterback. Get the frig out of here with that nonsense on a Tuesday. It's not even a Woosah Wednesday, but you guys are already getting under my friggin' skin. Get out of here. I'm not even going to pull up the comment. I'm only going to do it because Angel's here. I never came at you, Q, for criticizing Hurts. People who know football, former players, are saying McKee is better than the QB, not the. I don't give a shit what they're saying. It doesn't matter. It's what they're seeing, not what they're saying. That's great. He's a better thrower of the football. I had this argument. With a couple of my friends that are diehard Eagles fans. This was the other day. I'm like, dude, if that's the case, then why is he not getting first team reps? Because he looks good in practice. Maybe he does throw the ball better than Jalen Hurts. But are you really going to gloss over and just erase what Hurts has done with this franchise over the last several years because he's had 3 or 4 bad games and he's having a down year? That's all I'm saying. And this is coming from someone that's been accused of being overly critical of Jalen Hurts, of being a hater of Jalen Hurts. And I'm actually defending him in that regard. You're not benching a quarterback who less than a year ago just won the Super Bowl MVP. That is friggin' clown talk on the airwaves in Philadelphia. I'm not going to entertain that here. It makes absolutely no sense to even entertain that discussion. It's because you don't like Jalen Hurts. That's all it is. When people come out and they're ripping and criticize him, it's like maybe they don't like his demeanor, what he says, how he sounds after the game. He's not saying what you want to hear. But I've seen instances where he's made plays. I've seen instances where he's scrambled, he's run around, and he's improvised. I need to see it consistently. There's things he's still doing 4, 5, 6 years in the NFL that he shouldn't be doing, and that's coaching. That's coaching. He's got to have an understanding, a better understanding. That clock has to go off in his mind. He's got to have that eternal clock. He's got to understand to not take sacks, to not scramble out of bounds for lost yardage. Those are things that either have to be coached up or the kid's never willing going to get it. And then that's on him. But to suggest, again, you guys are just sucked into this backup nonsense. Then if that's the case, they should have never have gave him a contract extension. I mean, it's just ludicrous because anytime in the NFL when the starting quarterback stinks, the fan base clamors for the backup. And I'm not entertaining it on a Tuesday. If they go out and they lose to the Raiders and then lose to Washington and everything goes south, you want to have a conversation in the offseason. Well, the conversation in the offseason. If they finish 10-7 and get bounced in the first round of the playoffs, then it's open to debate. But right now, I'm not seeing it.
No, you're absolutely right. And yeah, I saw the comment there where he said if McKee can't read the D and O line and Hurts cannot, but because he was Super Bowl MVP, he can lose all these games, get a pass. He doesn't get a pass.
No one's giving him a pass. He's got to play better. No one is giving. It's like these other again. These other quarterbacks that we're talking about. Why do these jabronis get offended if someone says Hurts is garbage? It's just football, dude. Stop taking it seriously. Hurts is carried by the Vietnam for a year. Get over it. Gooseneck number 1. Where have you been?
Just loading in the background and know exactly when to jump the right line.
Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, listen, again, man, I don't think he's garbage.
He's not.
I don't. I think, and let's be fair, but I do like the handle Gooseneck one. I don't think he was carried by the defense. Like last year, the defense played well, but I also believe he made plays and they had Saquon Barkley. And you had a 2,000-yard running back. And you can talk about the push-tush and all the touchdowns, the rushing. Jalen Hurts is not a horrible quarterback. He's not. I mean, that's all I'm trying to say here. And it's not, everyone can have their opinion, and you guys are free to the opinion, and you control, and we laugh it off. Trust me, it does not bother us.
No.
What I'm trying to just say is ultimately, let's not forget, if we go back, are you really going to tell me this kid's never won football games? He's never had a big moment. I mean, can we go to the Super Bowl? The kid accounted for 4 touchdowns. He outplayed Patrick Mahomes. He had big games last year. He had a couple of big wins. Now, he was efficient and it was sexy. And at the time, you know what the Eagles fans were saying? I'll take those stats any day of the week because we're winning football games. Now, because he's playing poorly and they lost three straight, and they're playing poorly, everyone wants to forget all that, right? That body of work, the equity that he's built up, and now let's bench him and he's trash.
Yep.
That's just foolish.
What's the one common denominator between Ben Roethlisberger and Jalen Hurts?
Wow. Huh. I mean, you know what? You got me on that one, my friend.
They both got married, and what happened to Ben Roethlisberger that year? Had a bad year. Just saying.
Oh, so you're going with the adage women weaken legs.
Nope. Just saying that sometimes, when you're
No,
focused
no, no, no,
on
no, no,
things,
no. Oh, you're saying he got kind of fat in the off season,
no,
making the appearances, doing the endorsements, lost his fire to compete. If that's the case, AJ Brown, Saquon, is that where we're going?
listen, there's times, yeah, I know you have to do the tort Madman sees as well, but and by the way, Madman, I have not seen the joke of the day. I'm surprised I've come on and I have not seen the joke of the day. So I want to see a joke of the day before I sign off here. But no, it's one of those things, and it's funny because I mentioned it to a friend of mine last night. I was texting him. I was like, it's the only common denominator between the both of them. It's like some guys that get married. And the following year, I don't know why. Don't ask me why. But sometimes they get married, and listen, they get caught up in the moment when they know they have certain things they have to take care of. It's different when you're single, you're by yourself, you're not married yet. You're focused upon a lot of things, and not saying by any means that's the reason why Jalen.
Hold on a second. Did your level of broadcasting diminish after you got married? I mean,
No,
you still brought
no,
your A game, right?
yeah,
Oh, there you go. How about this? Hold on. So Luke Abrazzi says, I marked the tape. I never came at you for your analyst of hurt. That you're cooking yourself. Stop. I believe the talent is there to win now, but there needs to be a change somewhere. They're not again. They're not winning it again this year. They're just not. Man with the wow. Man with the Angels referring to after an 18 visit in the home front. Uh,
and then Michael follows up with,
yeah. Asking how do you get rid of a rat? See, that's what happens with these trolls.
yeah.
And that's what we're saying. There is is there a rat problem down in Tampa?
Okay, I don't know if there's much of a rat problem, but I will say this much. Listen, Eagles fans are passionate fans. Bucks fans, I really don't understand this organization. They will sell out their tickets and then be upset that they sold them out. On top of, you are playing with Baker Mayfield, who's a little banged up, and a really banged up O-line and D-line. Yet somehow or another, he's able to pull off wins, minus against New Orleans, which they should have won. Bad call at the very end, which the refs know, and they haven't come out with and said yet that they've done so. But you take Baker Mayfield and what he's done with the Bucks fans should be like just
Bend over backwards for Baker Mayfield.
huh?
Yeah, they should bend over backwards for Baker. So hold on a second. When Carson Wentz was playing at a high level before he got injured, everyone was saying Carson Wentz is the franchise quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And obviously he got injured. Nick Foles, the whole story. Nick Foles again, the whole story. Jalen Hurts drafted. And then the unthinkable. You're never going to trade Carson Wentz. No one's going to take the contract. You're never going to do it. Damaged goods. You're never going to get rid of him. Well, they wound up trading him. Now this is very interesting. This is a very interesting comment I have on X. This Eagles fan. So this Joe, big time Eagles fan, chimes in. He's been listening to me for years, ever since I was even on 1290 The Ticket in Delaware. He says, Q, I'm going to have to go there. It's sink or swim time. If they really struggle and he plays poorly, I'm going to do you one even better. I will look to move him in the offseason. He signed a monster contract. All I'm saying is let it play out. And I don't believe Kevin says that one commenter is totally off. He wasn't carried by the defense. He did make some plays. Everything went well last year for the Eagles.
Correct.
And they had a great run and they blew out a lot of teams and they win the Super Bowl. Now all of a sudden panic is setting in because again, When they were 5-2 and I came on the air and said there's issues with their offense, everyone destroyed me. All I was saying is they're trending down because they don't have an identity. But like no one's talking about last night in a close game, Saquon Barkley had 15 touches in the first half. He ended up with 5 in the second half. So in a close game, he's running the football well, and their defense is playing lights out, and their quarterback is struggling. Don't you think it would be beneficial for them to give the ball to Saquon though in the second half of the football game? That falls on coaching. That falls on the play calling. Like that's where Nick Sirianni has to step over and say, no, run the football. We've got something. We're running off tackle. We're picking up chunk yardage. So we can kill the quarterback. We can kill the wide receiver. We can talk about the injuries. We can talk about the drops. At the end of the day, the head coach is accountable to put the players in position to make plays and win games. Now, I know you don't want to hear that because it goes back to the Andy Reid speak, but any head coach worth their salt will say the same exact thing. And I think what's happening now is, as we mentioned this a couple weeks ago, the head coach is scrambling. The head coach realizes Patullo's my guy. That was my hire. It's not working out. I'm not going to fire my guy. I'm not going to do it. And I see you laughing already because of the comments. I'm in a great rant, and you're so more concerned
Yeah.
about the comment. So what I'm going to say is this before we get to the comment. He understands he's scrambling, and
Mhm.
he's looking for Patullo to come up with some of the answers that I don't think are there. Go ahead, man. What's the difference between a stripper and a mosquito?
I asked for it, I got it. But no, you made really good, valid points. I got to giggle anytime you put something up there. It's it's a natural habit. But no, you're right because at this point, how you're the head coach of a professional football team, and if you
Correct.
know your quarterback is struggling, go to the run game,
Correct.
especially since Saquon was picking up yardage last night.
Correct.
No,
Correct.
what do? We want to keep it in the air. I don't know what it
Correct.
is with the NFL this season. Everybody, there must have been a memo that went
They
out.
overthink. They overanalyze.
Correct.
Did you
Right.
watch last night? Harbaugh was trying to lose that game, not going for it on 4th and 2, 4th and 3. Dan Campbell, too aggressive at times. Andy Reid, inexplicable the other night, does something he never did in his career in that 4th down try, in that situation in the game. Like, that's, you know what happens? That's panic.
Mm-hmm.
Panic starts. They realize the season is starting to unravel. And that's why you get a win and that silences the critics. And that's why I'm saying I'm not going to feed into these trolls that are sitting there waiting for the backup. It just it's just you guys have selective memory. When he needed to throw the football in the NFC Championship game and the Super Bowl, he did.
Sure did.
He did. He threw for almost 500 yards and a couple TDs. He had the one pick, but he also had 21 carries on 88 yards and a score with 0 fumbles. He played within the offense. He played within the structure. And that offense at that time with Ben Johnson maximized his strengths. And what do? We turn around, we kind of eliminate the weaknesses.
Right.
That's exactly what he did. And now you don't have Ben Johnson, and now you're struggling.
Yep.
So again, it's not all on the quarterback, but he has to play better.
Listen, you look at it last year, right? The same way like you had just mentioned not too long ago. I was the first one to say there's no way in the world this team's going to the Super Bowl. And this is early on in the season. Pete kept saying, nope, don't worry about it. They're going to get there. They're going to get there. Then you start seeing the same signs as we did in 2017. The problem is that you don't want to, get on that same cloud because we know we've been let down off that cloud. So finally they get there to get the NFC Championship game. Hurts by far. That's not even a question. Hurts by far. McNabb at number 5 will always love you. He got on my nerves. He doesn't deserve to be in a Hall of Fame. No, I'm done with the whole McNabb experience. So Hurts is definitely better. Matter of fact, Corey Detmer was better than McNabb. All right, let's throw that one back there. If that's the case, I can't stand McNabb. Number 5, it is nonsense. But that's besides the point. The whole thing was that last year, when you look at it at the Super Bowl, we didn't see that coming. We were at Tampa Joe's all sitting around and couldn't believe what we were watching on the big screen.
Hold on, wait. Did they have the music blaring over while you were trying to listen to it?
They sure were. That they did. That is exactly what they did. But no, you got to You got to look at. I mean, there's no way. I know there's a lot of fans, Madman, that love McNabb. I'm sorry. It's just you get to the biggest game on the stage with Andy Reid at the time with the Eagles down in Jacksonville against the Patriots.
This is what happens. You open up Pandora's box with this. Now we're going to start to have the conversations, right? He had a healthy O line, keen on Saquon or Saquon, and he. Hold on, I got to get to the comments. See, I got to scroll up. I've been doing a lot more squinting too. The listeners don't like that. He was able to effectively sling it. That's not the case this year. Wow, Vic was better than both Hurts and McNabb. Oh my God, I'm not talking about as a person. I met McNabb when I worked at Circuit City. Oh my goodness.
There's a lot of people he rubbed the wrong way. A lot.
Yeah, it
of
was just
people.
his personality. It was his personality. But again, they also went to 4 NFC championships. Now, this is where this really pisses off the Eagles fan. That is like the diehard Hurts supporter. Barkley bails out Hurts like Westbrook used to bail out McNabb.
True. Very true.
Think about that for a minute.
Yeah.
I mean, if you go back and you look, right?
Yep.
It's just, I don't know, the quarterbacking position in the NFL. It's just bizarre at times. Look at the NFL right now. I mean, you're telling me the Colts can't find a quarterback off the wire. Instead, they're bringing in Phillip Rivers,
44.
like 44 years old. Phillip Rivers, who I guess can still sling it because apparently that goes to Luca Brasi. That's all that matters in the NFL is you can sling it. 44 years old. So he's up. He's due for eligibility for the Hall of Fame. Do you know now if they bump him off the the practice squad to the active roster,
Right.
and he goes in a game and takes a snap, he now has to wait another 5 years for Hall of Fame eligibility.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. But you can't find another quarterback in the NFL like to fill the spot of Daniel Jones. I mean, they have so many injuries. That's just, oh man, it's just funny how the NFL works. It's just the panic mode sets in after losses. It's just every time a team loses a game and the quarterback plays poorly, all we want to do is just gravitate towards the backup. And then if the backup comes in and falls on his ass, now you got to go back to the starter. I'm just saying, I would just caution. I would just say, he's got a lot of kids.
He does.
Just let it kind of play out. Did you see Schwarber resign with the Phillies?
Sure did. I really thought they were going to end up losing him because at the rate that he was going, and he wasn't upset with the Phillies. He's looking for his payday like any other player, other than the Dodgers continue to get rich with their pickup. But yeah, I'm glad Schwarber's coming back. I do still like the way the Phillies are handling things, where they're not opening up the checkbook like all the way. They're being smart because they know there's a lot of needs that they need, especially in the bullpen that has been a problem for the Phillies for the longest. So I like that they re-signed Kyle Schwarber. That was a great pickup by the Phillies. We'll see what happens as the winter meetings go away. But the Dodgers, I think, are going to get themselves in the same situation the Yankees did years ago, where all these guys, they try to unload these contracts, and they were on the books for about 7 years before they finally were able to start signing guys all over again. Obviously to their team.
The Diaz move is huge. I mean, he stuck it to the Mets. I mean, he stuck it to the Mets. I mean, you've got the best. The Dodgers now get richer. You've got the best closer on the market with that 3-year, $70 million deal. I mean, you're talking about an all-star, a guy that low ERA, 28 of 31 save chances. He a good fastball, the slider. I think only 30, 31. And they were they're just getting richer. I mean, it's just utterly. They're going to win it again. They are absolutely going to win it again next year.
Yeah, I mean, they're loaded, and you figure they have. Isn't it? There's another phenom. I can't remember if it's from Japan or China.
Yep.
That they're looking at once again. and
Yeah.
it's another friggin' strong bullpen arm. And I mean, listen, what can you do? You can get frustrated. Like I can't stand the Dodgers as much as I can't stand the Yankees, but I respect the Yankees a little bit more than I will with the friggin' Dodgers. But the Dodgers are going out there and finding talent. Now, again, it's going to come at a price because what happens? Let's fast forward 2 years from now when things are absolutely falling apart, and now they really need somebody at the trade deadline. Well, now you're screwed up because you're above the luxury tax. There's nothing left in the bank books anymore. Then what? You're going to get somebody on borrowed time and
Well,
hope.
some of the yeah, I mean, some of the contracts, obviously, yeah. I mean, it bleeds over, and you got to figure out how to get it off the books. But I think, what they understand right now is that their window to win it a couple more times, especially because of who? Otani. I
Right.
mean, that's just the bottom line, right? I mean, Otani eventually is going to get older. He's not going to be able to be a pitcher and a hitter. I mean, something's going to eventually break down. It's just That's just the nature of the beast, right? I mean, so he might in another 2 years. Now he's 31, but in 2, 3 years, he might be a full time DH, and he's not going to go out there and have, I don't know, 14, 15, 16 starts a year for the Dodgers. But they understand that the way the NL is, they should be able to compete. This is funny. Hold on. Don't forget, I walked Angel back from the ledge last December when he was iffy on the Eagles' playoff run. Angel also, let's be fair, when it hurts, bench because he didn't fly to Seattle with the team.
That's true too. That is true because the BS excuse was that he had the flu. That's what he said. But in the meantime, he was at odds with the team.
Hold on a second. You mean the only store in town where I can get dry cleaning had the flu? Can you believe that? So I wore this ridiculous suit for you. You on drugs, Mr. Gambini? No, sir. I don't take drugs. Are you mocking me? No, sir, I'm not.
Mark,
I'm going to have you in contempt. What else is effing new? Thoughts on the Eagles are not the same this year. I can't tell Angel it'll be okay.
yeah, true. All true points by X-Men Man.
Dodgers are basically like Honda and Toyota joining forces. It's unfair. Yep. But the Yankees did it for years.
They did. They did it for years, and that's why the Yankees were able when they had that checkbook. They opened it up like, nope, I want this guy, this guy, and this guy. You can't tell me no. And where'd they go? They went there. Now you have the battle between the Mets and the Yankees.
Right.
Where, depending on who's where, you got that great battle going on in New York, which is great for both the AL East and the NL East. The way you look at it, so it's just to me, with baseball, the Dodgers are now kind of like the Howie Roseman of the Eagles, where they figured out we see the talent, we're going to get the talent, and there's nothing else anybody can do about it. Because if they load themselves up with that third Japan / I believe, or it could be from Korea, they load them up, you can forget about it. It's going to be absolutely insane.
I have to ask you though, I don't know if you saw last night, everyone's killing Justin Herbert because he was trying to blow off Laura Rutledge doing like the sideline job, and he wanted to celebrate with his teammates. He didn't want to do an interview. Like everyone was like, oh my God, he was rude. He was rude. He was rude. I don't know if you saw it. Like I would think, hey man, you just want a game like that. Yeah, you want to celebrate, but you also want to get interviewed. I give her a lot of credit. She was doing her job, but he literally wanted no parts of that interview. I mean, honestly, he was kind of acting like a prick, and like you're making millions of dollars.
Correct.
Like, just give her 30 seconds. I'm not a big fan of the sideline reporters because I don't really think they're, with all due respect, the coaches, when they're making halftime adjustments, they're going to give you very generic answers. Hey, what do you need to do defensively in the second half? We just got to make plays, force turnovers. They're not going to sit there and say, well, we're going to blitz more. We're going to go man, or we're going to be a more aggressive on second and long. They're not going to give you that information. So it's like, okay, why do we even have the sideline reporters? But with a game like that last night, when Hurts throws that pick in overtime and everyone's kind of like, what the hell just happened? Yeah, you want to grab Justin Herbert, right? The winning quarterback, and get some thoughts on him. But yeah, it was kind of, as we like to say, a little douchey in the business.
Well, how about also no one's talking about either when Nick Sirianni got pulled off when he was heading into the locker room at the halftime and got questioned about, his gameplay and what do you think about the first half? And like he had the stupid look on his face, like, yeah, what you just said. It's, what you said is correct, and we have to go out there and we have to do better. Really? Did you really hear the question, genius?
He's not going to give you anything.
I know he's not, but even still, dude, he sounded like this past week. I gotta find the clip where he sounded just like Mike McDaniels Jr. Word for word was like boring dribble nonsense that was coming out of his mouth. Like this is the same Nick Sirianni that no one can stand. But they're gonna still give him, the room to make errors and everything else. I really hope that Jeffrey Lurie, on the way back from LA, said, "Listen here, genius, we're gonna have a real heart-to-heart talk here when we get back to the link." All right. You're not going to sleep much this week because things have to turn around or I'll make sure to get turned around. And Jeffrey Lurie, unlike the old codger in Dallas, he does not like to interfere with what goes on a daily basis. That's why Howie's his guy. And he lets Howie do his magic. But at this point, Jeffrey Lurie knows, just like it happened way back with Chip Kelly, when the fans said, "Oh, you don't want to get rid of him?" Guess what? We don't show up to the game.
Hold on now. Hold on.
Go ahead.
I remember that Eagles squad. I was covering that Eagles team. That's a different animal.
No, it is a different animal.
I'm going to tell you why. Because Chip Kelly basically took Howie Roseman and stuck him at the little kids table, and Howie Roseman, felt very slighted, and Chip Kelly wanted all the power. And I remember there was a stretch late in the season, and they lost to Detroit, Miami, and Tampa Bay. They were all no-shows. Chip Kelly basically was a dead man walking. And the other thing is, they never really went far in the playoffs with Chip Kelly. You're also talking about a head coach. See, the one thing Aikman said last night that I don't agree with, and I like this more opinionated Aikman because it's almost like he doesn't really care. So he's just being more opinionated. But he said, well, I would put Nick Sirianni's body of work over the first 3 or 4 years of his career against any Hall of Fame head coach. I'm like, pump the brakes. Like, I get it. He's won a lot of games. I also think it's a product of a watered down NFC, a product of a bad division. I mean, let's call it for what it is. The Giants are horrible. They're a laughing stock. My franchise, they're horrible. Washington's bad. They regress because of the injuries. Dallas is still Dallas. They win in August, in July and August. And then you have the Eagles, a product of a piss poor NFC East and kind of a soft, watered down conference that's now getting a little better. Don't get me wrong. And really, even last year, the team that gave them the stiffest test, it was the Rams in the snow, and the Rams could have beat them late, but they didn't. So everything fell into place. You had an all-time great season from Saquon. The defense made plays, and Hurts stepped up in the playoffs in the Super Bowl. All that's all well and good. But again, I'm not going to put Sirianni in this, well, look what he's done the first 3 or 4 years of his career with the all-time greats, because I don't really think Nick Sirianni is a very good head coach. I think Nick Sirianni is more of a middleman. Like, I just need to make sure guys are showing up and doing what they're supposed to do, and then I got to answer to a couple other people, and then I have to basically delegate, almost like a supervisor.
Right.
Like, I don't see the in-game adjustments. The antics, you get tired of them. Yep. But when you're winning, people tolerate the antics. But when you're losing, that's when people start to talk about, you can't do these anymore. You can't act like a clown. You can't act like a child. You can't have that kind of attitude and childish, immature behavior on the sidelines. It's going to rub people the wrong way. And if you're losing, it's going to start to rub ownership the wrong way. But he did win a Super Bowl last year in a season that you and I came on the air last August. I would say, actually, pardon me, after the Tampa loss, we both thought, you got to fire him.
Yeah.
You can't go 10-1, have the slide, and then fire him. You're not going to make him a lame duck head coach. Well, they rewarded him, and he rewarded them back by getting back to the Super Bowl and winning it. So he's got that equity in the body of work. But I'm telling you, if you really look sometimes with some of these teams and coaches, you have to put it in perspective. All those years Andy won with Philly, and they made all their trips to the NFC championships. Andy Reid's a great head coach. He's a Hall of Fame head coach, okay? The division stunk.
Yeah.
It's just a reality. So you're basically winning like that, 6 games a year. Now figure out a way to win another 4 out of 10, and you're going to get to 10 wins and make the playoffs every year. It's just, to me, Madman says that's always an interesting argument to me. New England and San Fran got to play in a horrible division during the 80s and 2000s. However, they got the job done multiple times in the playoffs. Yes. But you're also talking about dynasties.
Yeah.
Right? 49ers winning in 81, striking 82, no playoff 83, back in 84, win it, don't win in 85, the Bears do, don't win in 86, the Giants do, get back in 87, but Washington knocks them off, or Minnesota knocked them off, winning in 88, deep run in 89, win it, and then losing in 90 in the NFC, like the dynasty, wall to wall Hall of Famers. But to Man's point, they took advantage of a bad division to give themselves what? Home field advantage, win a playoff game, host an NFC championship or an AFC championship. Same thing with the New England Patriots. Like the New England Patriots won so many games, 10, 11, 12, 13 every year, a product of a bad division. But they made their bones come to playoff time, winning so many AFC championships and Super Bowls. If the Eagles, kind of like the Bills this season, right? The Buffalo's a bad team. Pittsburgh's a bad team. Indianapolis lost Daniel Jones. Kansas City is cooked. They're cooked. The Eagles stink. And I'm talking about now an NFC team. If Buffalo can't make a deep run, the way things can break out, they've got an all-pro quarterback, an MVP, Hall of Fame talent. They've got players. So if they can't go on the road and beat Denver and Indianapolis, then it's never going to happen for them. So all the wins they have, all those years they were winning the AFC East, blah, 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 it means nothing, and McDermott's going to lose his job. The difference, I think, with Nick Sirianni is the fact that he won it last year where everyone was talking about why does he still have a job?
Right.
And he silences critics by winning. So there's equity when you win a Super Bowl. Like Sal's a Ravens fan. He texted in early and said, the Ravens fired Billick and he won a Super Bowl. They did that 7 years later.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just, I do think it is a lot of overreaction when we're talking about bench the quarterback, and if they don't make the playoffs, fire the head coach. So if you bench the quarterback and fire the head coach, the quarterback's gone, and you're bringing in a different head coach who's going to bring in his own new coordinators, and that means you're probably going to retool, or you're going to give the keys to a backup quarterback, and no one knows what the hell the kid is. And I think sometimes it's an overreaction. So I just kind of wanted to make that point. It's a valid point by Madman, but you and I were both on the same page. Like, I don't think he's a very good head coach. I don't think he makes adjustments. I don't think he has any feel for the game.
Mm-hmm.
He was also a product of having a very good offensive line, Saquon, and all those weapons last year, and everything broke for them. But I can't take the Lombardi trophy away from him. You can't sit there and say Nick Sirianni's never won a Super Bowl as a head coach. He has.
Yep. Yes. And no, you can't take that away from him, no matter what. Last year, listen, coaching versus doing all his antics. Now, at the very end, of course, you're gonna do whatever it is because now you're having fun. First time, you win the Super Bowl with the Eagles as a head coach. Second time for the Eagles altogether as a city. But that was different back then. Now you're back to the same nonsense with Nick Sirianni, and there's zero accountability. And I don't want to hear the post presser tomorrow. I don't want to hear anything from Nick Sirianni other than we got to win, and we know we have to win desperately at this point. Not just win, it's a desperate win going forward because you have Dallas, who basically handed you the division with a loss last week. But, with Dallas, you don't know. And I wanted to go back to one thing you had mentioned about with Dan Quinn, because last year when you had mentioned that
Washington?
Yeah.
Okay.
When you had mentioned that Washington could have possibly won a division, and who saw the way Washington played last season, granted, it came up short as well, but even despite the injuries for Washington on both sides of the ball, are we starting to see those still kind of like the old Dan Quinn when the reason why he got fired as head coach?
No, because I think he gets, again, it's a great point you bring up. He gets it's a down year pass. He gets a hall pass because the quarterback got hurt.
Okay.
I mean, let's be honest. You got a franchise quarterback that got hurt. Now, you want to argue that the kid shouldn't have been in the game? They should have shut him down.
Mm-hmm.
Zach Taylor decides, I might lose my job. I need Joe Burrow out there. And then you see when Joe Burrow's out there, they put up points and they can win some games. They're not going to be a playoff team.
Right.
Now, going further back to your point with the Dallas Cowboys, they're not going to win the division. They're not. Listen, I'll come on right now, 5:36 on December 9th on a Tuesday on the show on Q and say this. If the Eagles lose out And if they get embarrassed by the Raiders at home and they lose twice to Washington and go up to Buffalo and it's a no-show, then you draw the parallels to Chip Kelly. Then we have the conversation in the offseason. What I'm saying is nothing's going to get done today, tomorrow, next week. They're not benching the quarterback. There's you can have the discussion. We can talk about it. They're not, and nor should they. That's and I'm going on the record saying right now, you do not bench Jalen Hurts.
Correct.
You figure out a way to get Saquon involved more in the offense, even if you have to keep simplifying it. You can't get the dog out of AJ Brown. You have to get Goddard involved more and Smith more. And you've got to have the game slow down a little bit to Hurts. And at this point, you would think it should, but I also think Nick Sirianni has to take over the play calling. And the problem is when you hire your guy and then you take over for your guy during the season, that's a bad look. And I'll give you the perfect example. Brian Daboll hired Mike Kafka, and a couple games into the season last year, Brian Daboll took over the play calling. Like that's an indictment on Brian Daboll for hiring Mike Kafka or elevating him to offensive coordinator. So right now, Nick Sirianni's in a precarious spot. He really should, because he knows that Kevin Patullo is not getting the job done. And the equity of winning the Super Bowl, it wears off. So you have to just say, look, man, I'm going to have to take over. You know, forget about what's the point of me saying, Angel, I'm going to be involved in your business and I'm going to help you out day to day. Just let me handle day to day then.
Right.
So if Sirianni's going to quote be involved in the offense and really have some input or be more involved, then you know what that tells me? Just friggin' take over the play calling duties. Like everything else is smoke and mirrors. It's just semantics right now. Like you're past a point of no return. It's a 3-game slide. Your franchise quarterback is coming off a 4-pick game and a fumble. 2 of those came on one play. First player in NFL history throw a pick and a fumble on the same play, right? The positive rabbit in the locker room and all this stuff, never a good sign. So now all of a sudden, when you start to talk about the level of concern, panic mode, if 10 is, get the hell out of there, you're probably at like a 7.5 right now. This team is broken. And when they were 5-2, I said the offense was broken. And I understand it's Negadelphia and it's Philly and everyone's blowing things out of proportion. And guys are running with their head on fire down in Passyunk Avenue and Broad Street and off of Mifflin and 9th and McKean and all that. Calm down. You're at a 7.5. Now, if you go out and you lose to the Raiders, that 7.5 jumps exponentially to like 9.5. And then all bets are absolutely off at that moment.
Would that be like what's it? The show, The Naked and Afraid, where their PSR starts at like a 6, and then they're able to make it through the 21-day challenge, and then it goes up to 7.5. That's the Eagles right now. Are was it plucked and afraid at this point? They got to do better. No matter what, you got to do better. And yeah, you cannot, by any means, you cannot bench Jalen Hurts. I don't care if the fans are jumping off the bleachers or standing outside Lincoln Financial Field. You can't. That would be the worst message to send. And X-Man on that one, he made another good point as well, where it's true. If Nick takes over the play calling, and he knows what would end up happening, he would definitely be on the chopping block. Because at that point, now you can't blame him.
He's on the chopping block already because he hired Kevin Patullo and he didn't go outside the building.
Right, and that's what I mean. And you couldn't go with the shiny.
If I know that, if I know that, and I'm like, man, I hired you, you're my guy, and you're not getting the job done, I'll defend you, but I'm slowly going to phase you out and say, look, man, go in the corner, go in the back, right? Go get me my shoe shine box, get me another microphone, let me take it from here, and it's on me because he made that hire.
Correct.
That's the problem. This is a good comment. Also, the weakest NFL I can remember, all these teams were calling Cook can definitely get hot, sneak into playoffs, and win the whole thing. Here's the problem. I have that comment. Those teams I say are cooked. There's nothing they have done over the last several weeks pretty much the whole season
Right.
to suggest that they're going to go on a run. Like offensively, the Eagles have done nothing this year to suggest they're going to go on this, you know, have their come to Jesus moment and the offense is going to wake up. I mean, think about this. They put up 24 against the Cowboys. They put up 20 against the Chiefs and really 26 against the Rams. Special team scored or a couple in that game, right? 33. The Bucks was a nice win, but then they blew leads to the Broncos, got waxed by the Giants, beat a bad Vikings team, put up 38 against a bad Giants team, 10 points, 16 points, 21, 16, 19. The offense is broken. They have no identity whatsoever. So at this point, if I'm Sirianni, what do I have to lose? Let me take over the play calling for the final 4 games, which if they can't win 3 out of 4, then they don't deserve to make the playoffs. If they can't beat the Raiders and Washington twice, then you got a serious problem.
Yep.
A real serious problem. That's my point, though. They can look average at best and all of a sudden have an easy playoff schedule and get hot. They're meaning any of these teams, not just Eagles. Yeah, I don't think Kansas City. I don't trust Detroit. But then a rationale, you got to give a little more credit to Denver and Indianapolis. I'll tell you right now, Buffalo could be scary. And I still believe in the NFC, Seattle and the Rams. I just don't know who's going to go on the road in Seattle and beat Seattle, or the Rams scoring 38 something points a game,
Right.
or the Texans and their defense in the AFC. The Chiefs to me are cooked. They're done. They're done. The Colts are cooked. Whoever comes out of the AFC North, they're cooked. I'm not cooking the Eagles just yet. I'm not. But I don't believe they have the makeup right now, the way this team is put together, and more importantly, the belief, the inner belief, like within that locker room. I don't believe it's where it needs to be. It's not like last year. Their juju, it's gone, and I don't believe they have enough time to figure it out. I can't envision or foresee all of a sudden the offense just clicking. And what happens if they do put up 38 against the Raiders and Hurts goes 30 of 35 for 288 and 4 touchdowns? What? Okay, that's one game. Like, give me a larger sample size. Like, you got to do it. It's got to start against the Raiders. And to man's point, if we start to see it trending up a little bit, then we have that conversation coming into the playoffs where, hey, they snapped a 3-game slide. They won 4 in a row. Saquon's running the football. He's getting 25, 30 touches a game, which he should be getting. Hurts is playing mistake-free football, hasn't turned it over since that game against the Chargers. They're putting up 28 points a game. Then we have the conversation. I have not seen anything this season to suggest we're going to have that conversation. That's all.
No. It's all valid points. Absolutely all valid
They
points.
usually are when I'm speaking. I mean, I don't know.
No, but it's valid points. Just football is just strange. Unfortunately, a lot of things do happen throughout the year. The same way, in my opinion, it ended up being that if you have, which would be something else over there in Pittsburgh, if at the end of the year,
Oh, here
Mike
comes.
Tomlin
Yeah.
has not had a losing season so far, Aaron Rodgers is going to dictate, you want to keep me, you get rid of him. And then he can turn around and be like, because he keeps swearing up and down, this is my last go around. I'm not doing this anymore. Stop talking. And the one thing that actually drove me nuts, and I can't stand Aaron Rodgers, and every year he irks my nerves just a little bit more. But the one thing that drives me nuts is just a reporter just said, hey, what do you think, Aaron, after the win this week? Is the pressure off of you and maybe Mike for at least for 1 week? He goes, I'm just going to need a week for you guys to shut the hell up. I'm like,
Right.
oh, man.
Yeah. Did you call him an asshole?
Who?
Chef Q doing a lot of cooking. I do a little marinating. I think Rodgers, I've said it. I don't think Mike Tomlin. I think Mike Tomlin's done. I think Pete Carroll's done with the Raiders.
Yep.
I think Gannon might be done with Arizona. The Tomlin situation is interesting because he will be sought after, but I'm not as high on Tomlin as other people are. I'm really not because again, he won very early, and sure, he's been a 500 type of head coach. And the Rodgers thing, this is what happens when you bring in Aaron Rodgers. I mean, Aaron Glenn made Aaron Rodgers fly across the country just so he can tell him we're not resigning.
Yep.
Like you could have had that conversation, you know, over the phone. Art chimes in. Q, you know the Colts bringing back Philip Rivers. The last time he played was during COVID. Ha ha ha. I mean, I'm not making fun of COVID. Are you saying that it's just been a while since Philip Rivers has played? Yeah, I mean he's old. He's 44. That's not good. Big Blue chimes in. Q, I know you haven't talked about our Giants for a while, but how about this? Giants might not be as stable as we think. I've heard from multiple sources that poor John Mara is not doing well. There's a surprising line of succession who will call the shots, although that still sounds TBD. Prayers up to Mr. Mara. Yeah, John Mara is battling cancer. That's not good.
All right.
That's again, that could, that's X. I heard he's fighting it, but I don't want to speculate on another person's health.
Right.
I guess the point is that it's you have to be sensitive how you say this. Health is paramount, right?
Right.
Health is wealth first and foremost. It's very hard to run a business if you're sick. You need to just take care of yourself first and foremost.
Yep.
Um, I have no idea what the hell the Giants are going to do, nor do I care. So you got any USF going on this weekend?
No, other than no, men's basketball will be playing tomorrow night. So that'll be packing the Yingling Center. That'll be tomorrow evening. The
What's it called?
ladies, huh?
The what center? Coors Light?
Yingling.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the Yingling Center.
For a college stadium, college venue?
See. Yep.
Oh, I didn't. Huh.
Yeah. So they'll be playing tomorrow night. The ladies come back next week after they've been playing a lot of tournaments out there in the Bahamas. So they'll be back next week to fill up. Actually, no, they're my fault. They were back a couple days ago when they played the educational game. I went last year for the inaugural run. And what they do is the Tampa schools allow for the kids to come and see the basketball team playing at their best. Now, it's great because they pack the Yingling Center. But when you're talking about some 18,000 screaming kids, and then they pump the volume of the music and everything else to pretty much overdo for the kids, it gets to the point where it's just way too much. And so this year I missed it. I didn't get the opportunity to go out there, but it was just girls ended up winning it, which is good for the homegrown fans that are here at USF. But then the big one ended up being yesterday. Kevin Hartline introduced as the head coach, 6-year deal for USF. They done it in a matter of about 6 hours where they put it together. And he said, yep, I'm going to be there. He said his Florida has been kind of his second home, even though he was born and raised in Ohio, but Florida's always been a second home. And I just hope, because there were some hints like Golish when he first got here of kind of someone that talked, but I think Kevin knows exactly where this team needs to be. And they're going now for the third bowl in a row. Even though Golish was the one that got there. And I know they're coaches. It's what you do. When Arkansas, and I don't know how Auburn came in at basically 1 a.m., but the minute that Auburn called Golish, it was basically like, oh, it's 105 in the morning, click. The whole Twitter thing from USF was gone. Auburn was put in his place. I'm like, wow, dude, how about you let Rob and everybody else know, hey, by the way, here's what happened. And I'm going to, honor this until we get done with the bowl. Like, no, listen, they called me. I'm out. See you later. Change the Twitter. And hey,
well, hold on a second. I mean, didn't someone else do that? Lane Kiffin?
Yeah, he did too. But Lane's always been squirrely. He's always been squirrely.
That's rat-like behavior, though. I wouldn't call it squirrely. I would say rat-like behavior, used car salesman. By the way, did you watch the terminal list yet?
Not yet.
God. What about Mayor of Kingston?
The first season, but not caught up to what the new stuff came around.
Wait, you watched the first season?
Yeah, before he got injured, Jeremy Renner.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah,
But you haven't watched after?
no, not since he came back.
Not okay. I got you from his injury. Okay,
Correct.
I got you. What was it? What else was watching? Landman. Did you see this one? Did
Yeah.
you see the Walking Tall guy?
No, bad man.
I mean, do they not? Wasn't that guy supposed to like have an app out by now?
Supposedly.
Yeah, I was really hopeful we were going to get him as an advertise.
No. Yeah, but no. The only one that really kind of shocked me, which 50 Cent said he doesn't care and he's got his lawyers waiting, where he put down on the Netflix special about P. Diddy. He was like, listen, come at me, bro, because I'm laying out all the dirt. So that should be an interesting one on Netflix.
I I can't even watch the AI stuff on social with that stuff. I just it's just I mean even the stuff with Jalen Hurts, like they have Sirianni basically um cracking Jalen Hurts on the sideline. Are you talking about P. Diddy? Yeah. Yeah. Oh, did you see that Heat 2 is in the works?
Is
Did
it
you see
really?
the original, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Some people who listen in have never watched the original movie.
Gotta watch it.
Ah, I mean, apparently, like the cast is unbelievable. Let's see. Let's go to my favorite website, Wink, as opposed to IMBD. Um, who's confirmed? I think Leonardo's confirmed. Pacino's confirmed. Mm,
Is Pacino gonna have to get taller shoes?
Pacino?
Yeah.
No, no, he didn't have to in the first one. There is a there's a AI generated trailer for Scarface 2 where where not only is um Tony did I butcher that one? Oh, you're right. IMDb is a bird website. It's IMBD. Angel is rubbing off.
Wait a minute. I thought it was IMDb.
No, it's IMDb. Is it? It's IMDb. What did I call it? I think it's a bird site. IMBD is what I called it. Well, let's
Okay.
Google. Hold on. Google. Just Google it. Hold on. IDBM. Wait. IBDM. This is almost as
That's what
bad
he
as.
said. No, man,
Wait.
man's gonna
Wait. This is almost as bad as High Nazca. IDBM is what? Oh, it doesn't. Is it a bird site for bird watching? Bird box? I don't know.
Is
But
that for
anyway,
Mike
it's
Tyson runs out?
It's IMDb.
Right.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
Friggin' unbelievable. Anyway,
It's a C
um,
team.
anyway, so there is a trailer for Scarface. Q must have had a couple shots with the C team. That's
No,
just
keep going.
what I don't
The
feel
next
like.
one down.
I don't sign up for website talk. I've been wondering why he's doing so much scratching. I mean, seriously, no. Q said IMBD.
Okay,
Mark.
they got to mark the tape. All right,
Anyway,
welcome back.
any freaking clowns. Anyway, there is a trailer out for Scarface 2 where not only is Al Pacino alive and well, but he lost his accent.
Oh, Jesus.
It's AI generated. Oh, you know? Yeah, it's so funny. Like, the inmates are in the asylum. Like, obviously, I have to wait till after the holidays to friggin' talk NBA and baseball. I mean, it's got to be football centric. Got to be football centric. Always got to be football centric. Huh. So now, before we let you get out of here,
Yep.
you can promote the Odyssey app and Coastal Sports Digital Network.
Yes, it's good to have my hermano back on the Coastal Sports Digital Network. And if you guys go over to Coastal Sports digitalnetwork.com, and or even for short, csdnfl.com. You guys go over there and you can take a look. Yes, at Coastal Sports Digital Network, Florida. Yes, so that's up there. But if you end up, if you take a look at it, you guys can see the Odyssey app is up there available for you guys, along with our own sports radio app. So if you guys are on the road, not only can you watch the show live while you download it to your phone, but then you can switch it over to your radio, inside your car, CarPlay, Apple Play, depending on what kind of vehicle you have, and then pick up the audio that way. And then when you get to where it is that you are, you can switch it back over to the video side. So I make things as easy as I possibly can. And there'll be more content that's coming up there throughout the holidays. There's a lot of work that I've got a lot to do. So it's bowl season. So there's a lot of bowl games to cover, a lot of stuff that's happening. But into the new year, there'll be some announcements coming up, and it'll be all great talk. So I'm just happy. What? Yes, it was. Oh, Jesus Christ. He's not going to teach you about Mary.
Wait, man wanted to know if Gabriella was all right.
Was what?
If Gabriella was all right.
Oh, boy, no. Jeez.
Like, I'm not allowed to take a break 2 hours on the air.
Apparently not.
Even sometimes over 2 hours. All right, brother. I'm gonna start.
These guys are something else. By the way, you can also follow us on Twitter as well, CSDNFL on Twitter. So there you go. The Coastal Sports Digital Network, Florida. That's the way it works.
I just can't with you guys. I just can't. Half of the comments, I just can't.
Oh, wait.
Hold on.
Oh, boy. Here we go.
Hurry up. It's 6:00.
Sure is.
Coast. Come on. Let's hear it. Go ahead.
Jeez Louise.
Oh, and do we peel back the curtain on the other stuff we're trying to work on as far as engagement during the show? Which I think is opening up a can of worms.
Probably so.
Here it is. Q now takes breaks so we don't see the errors with letting his guest join and leave the video. What? What are you talking about? No, I slide. No. I go like this. I slide over. See, Lloyd has a tendency to drop off
way before
so abruptly.
Not give you PTSD.
It did. I didn't know that day. That's horrible. Someone's like, "Yo, man, why'd you leave this dude on? Wait for 45 minutes." Lloyd is so abrupt. So, like, I have to transition quickly. But anyway, Lloyd's on tonight, what, at 8:00?
8:00. Yep. So it'll be Lloyd and I tonight because Kevin is off doing something else. So Lloyd and I will be on at 8 p.m. tonight over on the Coastal Sports Digital Network and Sports Radio 102.9 The Game. So you guys can catch that at 8 p.m. on our YouTube and back on X as well, along with Instagram and a couple other places.
LinkedIn.
Yep. It's working. It's working. Ironically enough, it is working.
Maybe we should reset up a MySpace.
Bring it back.
Man, this Tom, he likes to comment a lot.
It's all right.
All right, brother. Well, we got it. Yeah, we might have to just dub Tuesdays, Tuesday with Martinez. We'll have to come up with something. So,
yeah.
All right, go get situated. 8:00, Lloyd. I always appreciate you jumping on for a little bit.
No problem. It was good to see the comments, man. Always good. Yeah. Even if I don't see it, but it's good to see the comments. So I appreciate it. And my motto is always.
All right, brother.
Thank you very much.
All right. There you have it, my guy. The man behind Coastal Sports Digital Network, SR 102.9 FM. Mi hermano Angel Martinez. Don't forget, Lloyd's coming up, as Angel mentioned, on 8. Check that out on X, on the YouTube channel as well. Tuesday Pickens. That's not bad. That's not bad at all. Excellent stuff with the comments today. Appreciate you guys keeping us locked in. Don't forget, we're powered by Fresh Roasted Coffee, BYP20. That's a promo code. Also, get ready with tea, Three Brooks Bourbon, and of course, Play It Again Sports. We will be back in the saddle Mignano on a Woosah Wednesday. Thank God we got it out today. A lot of eyeballs. You guys are fantastic, keeping us locked in for 2 hours. A little more baseball, a little more NFL, some NBA tomorrow. As I mentioned, we'll start to mix in a little college football with Costco, talk a little bit about the college football playoff. We love getting a little savings with Costco. And then obviously we'll go NFL heavy the rest of the week. Appreciate Angel jumping on board. As I mentioned, 6 o'clock straight up. This is Sports Radio 1029 FM, The Game, Coastal Sports Digital Network on the Odyssey app. Everyone have a wonderful Sports Tuesday. Enjoy a little late night in the NBA, and we'll do it again mañana on Woosah Wednesday. As always, I'm Rich Quinones. Be safe, be sound. Hasta luego, bendiga.